This podcast contains descriptions of extreme violence, body horror, and adult language. Please check the description for details. Viewer discretion is advised. We cut to a scene where we see the rooftops of Hope's Rise. And it's a particularly peculiar part of the rooftops because this is the top of Nevermore. While it's not as if Nevermore is occupying the entirety of a vertical column of the city, there is a district which contains many buildings which act as essentially the red light district. But as a result of having all of that area, there is a singular private building that has been constructed for none other than Quoth. We see something akin to an observatory. And I will let you describe what this thing looks like, both inside and out, peeking out from the rooftop of the city.
Yeah. The observatory-esque structure on the roof isn't, the largest structure you might expect. It's not, it's not something that you might find looking at the stars for scientific gain. It's something cozier and smaller, almost like a nest. It has a slight domed roof and a telescope, but it's more of a personal one. It's mostly featureless on the outside. It's very plain looking, with perhaps a single bench just set outside. The inside is, besides the telescope and a small bed, relatively unfurnished, but is filled with clutter. There's, of course, her bed and her telescope, but mostly just things that Quoth has collected or just picked up that she thinks, oh, this is fun, or this is shiny. As well as having the walls covered in paper, which are all filled with notes of either what she sees in the sky or poetry.
And you are resting here right now. It's not been a crazy amount of time since everything went wrong, so to speak, in the sensory deprivation room, but it has been long enough that your sister was able to call whatever doctors were needed in order to, ensure that she could get fixed up, which are still being waited on at this point. But nonetheless, there was some concerted effort from both you and your sister Lotus to repair one another, though most certainly mostly Lotus. You came out of it with an injured leg, a wound on the stomach, your hand was broken, but that was small fry. Small things to take care of, and you are now pretty much fine. And with the knowledge that Lotus is in no real danger and has someone on the way to help her, you, as you so often do, retreated up to the rooftops. It's as you are kind of settling in at this point, something like 12 to 18 hours later, that you hear a voice from across the rooftops. They're just in the distance, just going, "Hey, Quoth!" as if to warn you of her approach. You have been becoming aware of this person for some time, and you can tell me whether her name or face has stuck with you. But it is this woman who frequents the rooftops. She has seemingly taken a distinct interest in approaching you fairly often. She makes a point of every day wearing different colors and changing the colors of her hair, and you can't recall a time where you saw 2 days back-to-back with the same color scheme of her combat suit and her long, straight, colored hair. She never seems to do much but kind of just want to be around and just talk about kind of normal, inane things. And she seems to enjoy you reading poetry. How well do you think this woman has stuck in your mind?
For Quoth, she is quite bad at remembering things, especially people. I think that it is possible that she remembers the shape of this person rather than, like, any of their distinguishing features. Especially if they're constantly changing their, the color of their hair and their outfit. But she definitely remembers, the voice and the idea of someone coming up and listening to her, literally wax poetic.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, she's on the approach again, and you see her kind of deftly bounding between rooftops on the scarce occasion where there is a gap between them. You would guess that she is probably enhanced in some way. But do you come out to greet her? The bench outside is normally where the two of you kind of sit.
She would, as she's listening, and seeing her, she would look to, whatever communication line she, Lotus has set up for her. And presuming that since she has had no communication, it should be fine, she will crawl out of the roof.
Yeah, you hit the switch and one of the doors kind of slowly starts to shimmy open as you clitter and clatter out of it using your legs. And yeah, you see her this time with a orange and like an orange and yellow kind of suit, combat suit, and her hair this brilliant pink. It is certainly one of the stranger looks that she is rocking, but in terms of color scheme, but it's certainly hard not to notice her. And she kind of like skips and bounds and finishes closing the distance as she kind of looks up to you, and just goes, "Hey Quoth, how's it going?"
She is very much a night owl, so to speak. So is kind of, tired from staying awake, because she hasn't really slept. But as she crawls out and sees this brightly colored woman, "From the top of the tower did the plastic man speak. I am the plastic man, and this is my home." And the plastic man was heard.
Well, I'm glad to see the plastic man. Much as the wood chipper is glad to see wood, and wood is one to see too much dismissal in a time like this. Who is to say that someone with such deadly hands would not appreciate the chipping of such things? And she kind of smiles broadly, and just goes, did that one make any sense?
Quoth lands near the bench and nods knowingly.
She has seemingly got a bag with her. At this point, though, I am going to ask you to make a roll to see if you actually remember her name this time.
Alright. Perhaps.
Perhaps. You for the briefest moment, something about the meeting you with the poetry seems to kind of resonate with you. Her name is No Soul, and yeah, she kind of looks to you, and she, you know, bag in hand, kind of brings it to bear and ruffles around in it, and just goes, "You hungry?"
She stands there for several seconds, genuinely thinking about this, before she, once again nods.
She throws you what is essentially like a cream-filled sweet bread. Definitely filling, but yeah, I mean, up to you whether you're a fan of that kind of thing, but it's like a big thing. It's like a big boy, you know, the kind of thing where you might even need to kind of hold it in two hands to begin with.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I think she's a fan of sweet things. So she very much appreciates that, and pun fully intended, starts pecking away at it.
I assume you remove your mask to do so.
She removes, like, the bottom section, so she still has her, like, beak.
Yeah, I get you. Plague Doctor mask converted into a, like, top half of the face mask.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
beak still there. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think No Soul has ever seen her face. Fully, anyway.
But, yeah, she kind of throws that to you and pulls out one of her own as well and sits down next to you. And she when she is on the bench, is, like, cross-legged on the bench as she is eating. And after a few, you know, moments of you just kind of sitting there and eating together, she kind of, like, seemingly absent-mindedly, just goes, I wanted to ask you about something. I know I don't tend to talk about, like, serious things or whatever, but it's becoming clear to me that this is something I actually need to think about. You're a dredge, right?
She nods.
So, I keep seeing more and more evidence, I suppose, that people are starting to think I'm gonna become one. So I wanted to ask if you know of a way that I could make that not happen.
Would she know of a way to do that, aside from maybe failing their test?
I will let you make a roll with a -2, considering
Okay. She is one.
your condition.
Yeah, that's bad. No, absolutely not.
You don't even recall how the fuck you became a dredge.
No.
There was a time before and a time after, and you do not recall the interlude.
Yeah. Quoth would stop eating and tilt her head for an extended period of time. No Soul is probably used to her taking a long time with her responses, but even this is taking minutes before she turns to her and shakes her head.
Well, at least I know it's not you avoiding the question. She kind of looks, quite, like, upset for a moment. Before she kind of, like, seemingly relaxes a little bit again. And just goes, I should probably start talking to more people about this kind of thing then. Get myself prepared, all of that jazz. What have you been up to lately anyway?
She would look to her once again, stopping eating. She takes a long time to eat anything, and she says to No Soul, "The nameless bird took in a chick to her sister to find her memories. The chick turned out to be a beast, and now her sister is recovering."
Oh, jeez. Well, is there anything I can do to help now? If I'd been around, I would have tried to have helped, but... I mean, even if you just want me to go get something, I can certainly sort that out.
She thinks again. And sometimes, traces of real speech come out. "It is fine. The beast has been turned back into a chick. For now." She rests beneath the nest. She, I don't know if No Soul would know this, but when Quoth refers to anything as, like, a chick, it usually means new dredges.
I don't know if... You know what? I don't think that that's come up before with her.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is, like, one of the first times that she has talked to you about dredge stuff.
Yeah.
And she just kind of goes, do you think... She gets this look on her face, which is a little impenetrable to you, but, to other people might read as, like, somewhat mischievous. And she goes, "What do they look like? Maybe I can make sure that they don't bother you again."
She pauses, because she's not sure how she feels about Vex, right? She doesn't know if she feels like she doesn't want to be bothered, you know, in that way, you know? But she also... I think she also generally trusts No Soul, despite her failing memory. So she would crawl back inside and bring out, like, a notepad of sorts, and generally sketch. It's recognizable, but I wouldn't say it's good. It has Vex's features.
Yeah. She kind of looks at it and, like, tips it a couple directions as she kind of, like, tries to interpret it. And she spends some time looking at it, and she just goes, "Hold on, Vex? Like, the dredge? The other dredge?"
I believe that's the baby chick's name. I think.
She gets another look on her face, which you can't quite place, before she kind of goes like, And you said that she was giving you guys trouble?
She finds this to be a very hard question to answer properly, so she requests the notepad back.
She gives it back.
And she sort of draws the events. Again, very hard to decipher, but seems to be, like, passable.
She is just kind of looking at, like, what I imagine is, you know, Vex with these strange growths coming out of her and stuff, before she kind of seems to click a few things in her head of just, like, not like, you know, remembering something or whatever, but seemingly just, like, kind of making some decisions on what this means. And she's just like, "Oh, that looks nasty."
She nods.
She kind of, like, taps her chin and just goes, "Oh, okay, she didn't mean to. This is, like, something that's, like, yeah, okay, that's why she's a chick again. And she's not a beast anymore? Okay."
She She nods again.
She kind of smiles, and just goes, "Then you helped her."
She pauses and decides to nod. She had to think about whether or not that is what she feels like she did.
She goes, "Well, that makes two of us then. I helped her out last week." And she kind of like, she hands you the notebook, and she rifles around in her bag again. It's just like a shitty plastic bag, I should mention, by the way.
Yeah.
As she pulls out it seems to just be a big fucking plastic shopping bag, literally full of these sweetbreads. And pulls out another one, and just hands it to you and just goes, make sure Vex gets this then. I don't know about you, but whenever I've had a rough one, or whenever, you know, some weird bullshit has happened with, I don't know, some mutation stuff or whatever, eating one of these, and eating in general, always makes me feel better.
She nods again, and looks at the notepad again, just to remember what she saw.
She sits in silence for a moment again, before she goes, "God, between that and everything that's been going on between the borders, I have been having to deal with way too many people lately. Well, not that that's a problem. I mean more like I've been having to deal with way too many gang members lately. You know, everything in the, you know the stuff that was going on in the north with, like, the guy who was, like, holed up in, no, you probably don't remember that. There was a whole bunch of killing again. The amount of kids and old people I had to get out of the way." She kind of looks full on for a moment.
Quoth, I think, understands, and in a moment that she could only really reasonably think of as like, hey, this is something that Lotus does. She gives her like a pat on the back.
She appreciates that. She knows that that's like, you know, that's a lot from you, basically. And she kind of goes, oh, I almost forgot. One of the main reasons that I wanted to come here was I wanted to, never nice to say, but I wanted to warn you of a few things that I've been seeing. There's obviously been the change in borders between Section C and Foundling Creed, but people have been showing up dead in, like, weird ways. But I say weird ways. One specific weird way. People keep showing up with holes in their chests. And their hearts extracted. I want you to keep an eye out for anything weird. For any weird people that might be doing that kind of thing, yeah?
She nods and she takes a very... She usually doesn't do this. If she does this, it is because she has been, like, told something important she shouldn't remember, or she should remember. She literally, you know, starts writing all of that down in her notepad, in, like, big letters.
And, she goes, "Yeah, normally I just chalk that up to, like, some kind of gang thing, but, well, you know me, I like the rooftops and I don't let the borders stop me, so that's how I know that this is weird, because it's happening everywhere."
She nods once again. Just, she has a look of concern. You can tell.
And, she kind of, gets up, and she goes, right, well, I promise I play a few games of cards with a few people across over in collector territory, so I gotta get going. But, say, you know what? Yeah. When Vex is, you know, when you can talk to Vex, why don't you tell her to come find me?
She nods again, and, No Soul would see her start, sketching No Soul into the notebook.
And, yeah, she smiles in the way that she always does, which is with zero malice, with zero malcontent, with no negative emotion, just fully warmly smiles at you and just goes, "It was great seeing you. Stay safe, yeah?"
She nods, and for once, she hears a, "You as well."
And she nods and starts to jog away once again, taking leaps across various gaps and onto taller rooftops and buildings and such, as they are differently staggered amongst one another. And we see you continuing to sketch as the scene fades elsewhere. Hey gang, welcome to the break. Let's take a second to chill out, talk, and do a little shilling, why don't we? So, first and foremost, before we do any of our normal promotion, I want to thank all of my patrons who have been bearing with me, because we have not had an episode ahead of time for the last 2 to 3 uploads, unfortunately. I have good news, though, in that I am actually nearly done with the next episode already. So, in theory, I can get that up in the next day or two. So, look out for that. It's not uploaded today, right now, unfortunately, but it will be in the next day or so. So thank you so much for bearing with me. The main reason that's been the case has just been because things have been a bit tough recently, both for some personal troubles, and also just because I'm going to be having to move house soon, so I've been like sorting through all of that. But which is extra reason why I really appreciate any support that is thrown my way for this show. It is a massive, massive help, and I can't thank you enough for continuing to bear with me during all of this and continuing to support me as well. It really means the world to me, and it's great to see people still supporting this and still enjoying themselves with the show as well. On that note as well, I do want to briefly talk about my plans in terms of the schedule going forward. I am going to be keeping it to bi-weekly or fortnightly, whatever you want to call it, for a little bit, at least a couple of months, because of the whole moving thing. I do eventually want to bring this back into weekly, because it really is just a matter of like, once I've got my ducks in a row, and things aren't overwhelming, I know I'm capable of it. It's just that like right now I just very much need that space. And the workload does tend to kind of vary depending on whether we've got a lot of roleplay or a lot of combat. So I'm gonna play it by ear, but hopefully at some point we can bring it back. But don't hold your breaths by any means. I am doing the best that I can, considering that this is very much myself and Iris working on this. Iris does all of the first pass edits. I do all of the music and putting the fun sound effects in and everything, and just tightening up the pacing. But yeah, no. Thank you for the support, and if you want to be one of those people supporting me, then you can do so over on my Patreon at patreon.com/eternal_savvy. Again, that is eternal_savvy. And if you want to see that episode ahead of time in a couple of days, then you can do so for as little as $1 a month. That's right, for $1 a month, you can get a hold of that episode and a couple of extra goodies that we've been using in the actual game. Even though we don't have that visual component, I did make a couple of like pins and just markers and stuff for the sake of the map, which I think are pretty neat, and gives a little bit of a peek into what's been going on. And if you want to support me for more and be super awesome and cool and just help us out, then you absolutely can do so. But even that $1, if you don't have more than that, will be enough to get access to everything. So if you consider doing it, thank you so much. And if you want to have an extra reason to do it, then know that whenever possible, the money that we get from Patreon goes into commissioning other human artists, whether it be for stuff like the logo, for the show itself, or more commonly now, music from composers. And we already have a little bit of a lineup of tunes, which I am going to be uploading soon enough as well. So you are not only supporting me, but you're supporting other human creators out there by supporting our show. If you want to see more from us, and if you want to maybe keep your eye out for when we have that next TTRPG rolling around, then you can do so over on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/eternal_savvy. I'm pretty much that username everywhere, except my VOD channel, which is staying_savvy. But that's also another small note. I know I've been kind of teasing the other TTRPG game that I want to start running. That is not going to run until I have moved out, just as a quick note. But when that gets going and goes live, we will be on there. In the meantime, we're just going to be playing video games, doing art, all of that kind of a thing. It's chill vibes over on my Twitch. And if you want to see some of my art, then you can do so over on Blue Sky. Again, eternal_savvy. And if you want to be one of the wonderful people who has submitted some fan art, which you're seeing up on the carousel right now, then you should do so by, first of all, drawing something cool, which would be awesome, and then tagging me on my Blue Sky, and using the hashtag Heart of Hope. Or if you're part of my Discord server, you can also use the fan art channel there as well. And we will put that up on the carousel, unless otherwise asked not to. If you are one of the people who's already done some amazing fan art for us, thank you so much. And I think the only last thing to do here is to thank the people who have made some of the wonderful prompts which I used for some of our characters today. First and foremost, thank you so much, Rube, for the prompt that created Dr. Amaris, and Necropod for the prompt which created Rado Marx. And there's also a third character, Rot. Technically, that was my test prompt that I submitted to my own system. Thumbs up. Thanks to me as well, I suppose. I liked the idea too much not to use it. Thank you so much for continuing to support us and continuing to listen. Like and put some comments down below the YouTube video if you're listening to it there. Thank you. We'll let you get back to the episode. See you next time. Bye-bye. Right, we cut instead now to the other half of this duo, to Lotus once again. And we see that you are kind of in the midst of assessing damages, essentially. At this point, you have managed to do enough basic repairs to yourself that you have the use of both of your human arms again, but it was rough. While you were both handily dealing with Vex during that entire situation, for some time, it just got worse and worse, and when your sister left your side, it just it started to spiral. That's the only way to put it, and that was where you started to lose most of your foothold. It has been some time, as mentioned. It's been a number of hours, well over 12 hours at this point. And when you dragged her from the water and managed to extract the cyberspine from her, it was within mere moments that any of the holes from that were fixed up, but the rest of the injuries that she took closed a little slower. But nonetheless, she was put back together in decent time, and you set to taking her to somewhere to recover. You had thought she might wake up quickly, but it has remained that she has simply been unconscious for hours on end, and you have had naught to do but to simply take stock of things and to make sure that things are in order. What have you been keeping yourself busy with while waiting for, essentially, the doctor to your doctor to show up and ensure that you can be fixed up properly?
Is the damage that Lotus has sustained still, like, how bad is she looking, like, as of current, for my sake? What is, like, missing, I guess?
All of your cybernetic stuff is gone. Your dazzle camo, your voice effect, you still have basically anything that was like particularly advanced, you just were not able to repair. And because, you know, there are certain things that you can maintain yourself, namely your the petal.mim. I would say that the most notable thing that you're currently dealing with in regards to a patch job is that your jaw was quite badly fucked up, and you've only barely managed to put it together enough that you can, like, talk, but you are currently, you currently look like you have been through exactly as much as you have been through as a result of that jaw wound.
Lotus was never one for stagnation. Well, Lotus is never one for stagnation. She couldn't, despite the exhaustion, she couldn't sleep for more than an hour or two each, well, time she tried last night. Her order of operations is simple. Get Vex out, check if there's any permanent and lasting damage. There wasn't, for better and for worse. And then, well, she tries to take blood. That doesn't work. She gives her an equivalent of an IV, considering how fickle her body is. And then she goes about the damage to the wider room. She drags out the large spine after an extended duration, checks its damage, which is thorough and plentiful to a point where, similar to her cybernetics, repairing it is not an option. Getting a new one is. The walls and the doors and the blood that she scoops up and cleans and the veins that are still around can be cleaned easy enough. But that is not the thing that takes up most of her mental bandwidth. Being a dredge, she doesn't have much to worry about, let alone one this wealthy. However, that name, mumbled in rage, that is her concern. That is her worry.
It's as that name plays through your head, Olivia, that you feel the trepidation kind of just amplify. Not in a way that can be done anything about at this moment, but something which nonetheless is most certainly your most pressing concern for when Vex wakes up. It is at this point that you hear the tone of your door, which has been routed through to, various points in your lower floor facility here in order to notify you when someone has shown up to this particular part of Nevermore. And you can only imagine that that does indeed signify that your doctor is likely here.
The tone goes through her head, but it doesn't register for a while. Her thoughts are clouded with concern and just concern, just fear. She goes to meet up with her doctor, but it feels like she exits the room and then she's there.
Yeah, you kind of absent-mindedly make your way to the front area of this particular part of Nevermore, which has, as we mentioned, those 4 massive pillars. And I can only imagine that you have a little, closed-circuit TV view of, the front door, essentially, that you can check before you open. Security is important, after all. And as you do kind of take a second to flip open the live feed, you don't see your normal doctor, but you do see someone that you recognize, flanked by 2 people that you do not. To their left is a strange-looking individual hunched over with this lab coat / medical kind of get-up, but they are kind of hunched, and you can see that there is very clearly either some kind of mutation or something kind of swirling beneath the folds of the coat near the ground. To the right, there is a red-cloaked individual whose face is shaded by a hood, but has these 4 massive crimson-red legs that are like insectoid in nature, sprouting from underneath it. And in the center of them is a far too familiar face that you have come to know over a long time by the name of Rado. He is a enthusiastic client of yours, to say the least, and also extremely wealthy, and also has quite famously within the city been responsible for creating a lot of strides forward in mutation kit technology, which is part of why he is such a big deal in the Section C, as well as being just demonstrably and ridiculously wealthy. You see across his face, both dead vertically and dead horizontally, is the stitching that he has like quite stylishly had done to go underneath like his eyes and like in the direct middle of his face. His hair is this kind of loosely done up braid at the moment, and you see that he's wearing his normal very stylish looking, I won't say contemporary fashion, but like it's very like loose fitted, and he always gets stuff which has like a faux stitching to it as well, with like big thick knit sweaters, that kind of a thing. Always looking very like modern, but very comfortable despite his status within Section C. And you see that he's got this it's not a smile for once. You see that there's this look of worry on his face as he seemingly catches sight of the little recording like light on the outer camera, and he like kind of looks up and waves and like points to the door to open it.
There is, I imagine, a radio thing for, this sort of
Yeah, absolutely.
She does something in between readying herself for work and really not wanting to do any work right now. She tries to position herself in this exact middle point, but only partially succeeds. She chimes in over the radio, giving it a few moments to warm up. Rado, hello. How are you doing today? And who are your 2 friends, if I may?
Well, I heard about the fact that you'd requested some of our more intensive doctors, and I decided that I couldn't let you go unhelped. These are my 2 best. They help me with all of my procedures.
Oh, I see. She takes a couple of moments. I can assure you that dredge work is well-paying enough. You need not go through such efforts right now, though I do sincerely
I already
appreciate
canceled your other doctor anyway. Look, just let me in and we'll take care of you, okay? Listen, you take care of me so often. It's only right that once in a while that I manage to take care of you, right?
She's not unused to a more caring side of Rado, but this is not unexpected, just interesting. She thinks for a little bit. Do they require anything more extensive than standard technology? Should I?
No, we brought everything.
Lotus is usually very, not forcefully so, but quite chipper around Rado. So it makes the very matter-of-fact sentence followed by the cutting of the intercom stand out. I'll be downstairs with a chair in 3 minutes.
Do you buzz them in, or are you gonna open the door yourself?
She, after a few moments, does buzz them in.
Yeah, and sure enough, a few minutes later, you end up, meeting with him and these 2 doctors who are with him, as he kind of takes a second and the moment that he sees you and he sees like the state that your cybernetics are in, sees the, you know, like you've changed out of your fucked up clothes at this point, but you have that massive like, you know, wound on your neck and jaw right now. And he like immediately his face like drops and he just like turns to the other two and is immediately just like, Dr. Amaris, Rot, get on this immediately. Everything, come on! And just like starts bossing them around, and like they start to diligently unpack everything in the background. You can see they do indeed have like a number of containers in tow. And you see that the one who is like hunched over, you see that is as he like kind of turns around, that swinging out from underneath the lab coat is this huge tail, which is equal parts mutated, like, you know, grown out naturally, and enhanced with very like involved cybernetics. That you can see that the tail is essentially playing host to a combination of like a scorpion stinger, which you imagine is for the sake of self-defense, but primarily the bulk of the cybernetics are taken up by medical tools. You see that there is all of these like clicking and like clattering, like unfolding of various sheaths and stuff, which have both, you know, like stuff for the sake of maintaining cybernetics, as well as cutting open and, you know, healing and stitching flesh and everything. And they kind of turn around to this big case that they brought with them and start to just like get everything out and everything. And you see that the other one, who is, you know, the red individual, kind of pulls out this big case which they were carrying, slung over their back, which you see is like essentially a proper set of like vital monitors and that kind of stuff. And that one, as they are kind of like unslinging it from their back, in this very, very strange sounding voice, which sounds simultaneously like it's catching in their throat and also bubbling up from the surface, is just like, is there a better place for us to do this?
Again, in a tone of voice and demeanor that Rado's not very used to, she gives two responses. Not unless you're a high-paying customer. I say that. Do you want just privacy?
Rado immediately is just like, whatever's best for you.
She looks to the doctor.
He kind of looks around at the fairly open space, and just goes, perhaps a smaller room.
We have plenty of those. She stands herself up unsteadily and would go to one of the smaller rooms. I imagine for this is for the high-paying customers who want to get hooked in by Lotus personally, but it's obviously unused as of current. You kind of set down in this room, everything else being brought with, as you see the other one, who, you know, I'll just be clear at this point. The one in red, their name is Rot, and the other one is Dr. Amaris. You see they turn around. They've got a, they look difficult to pin initially before you kind of see that there is just like a few things here and there which make them look a little bit more femme. You know, just purposefully slightly done up, but still with like, you know, short hair, that kind of a thing. As they just sort of like look to you and put away a few of the things and just go like, by all means, typical of Rado. Only you catch that part under their breath, by the way. And yeah, eventually you get to the room, and in due time you are being like fixed up, like without a problem. In due time, you feel that everything is, you know, being put back into place, all of that kind of thing. Probably somewhat concerningly, it's not
exact, but you do see that some of the cases that get pulled out by Dr. Amaris, there is one point where they open up some of these kind of like they don't look medical, they look like what you would expect to see from a cyberneticist's place. It's, you know, black attaché kind of case looking stuff, and they flip it open, and sure enough, in these 2 cases are 2 pairs of arms for 4 total. They aren't like replicas of what you have, but they are very notably quite close to what you have. And Rado just goes, yeah, I hope you don't mind. I just thought, you know, it would be pertinent to make sure we have a couple of these around.
Oh, thank you. I can make some myself, but, I certainly won't say no to equivalencies whilst I patiently await them to be built more properly, more to my specifications.
He smiles, and you can see that it pushes up his cheeks in a way which always gives him like that slight creep factor, you know? But he kind of goes, right, well, now that you're being taken care of, that brings us to something more important. Who the hell did this to you?
Oh, darling. I can assure you that the money that I am being paid is, at least a third of it goes to the, non-disclosure agreement. I can assure you they've been taken care of.
But this is personal when it comes to this kind of thing. I know it's your job and everything, but, like, I can't have people going out there thinking that they're just allowed to hurt one of my favorite people in the city.
Oh, of course not. Why do you think I've holed myself up in here until the doctors take care of me?
Can you make me a roll with a +3, please, considering how much time you've spent with Rado?
That's a 9.
You can tell that he drops it, but you can tell immediately from the way that he's holding himself that it's like, he has not dropped it internally, right? Like, you can tell that this is gonna be something he brings up a lot, and you know that it's gonna be a whole thing of like, oh, we need to show them, you know, we need to fucking take revenge, make sure they don't mess with you again, that kind of a thing. So you have that to look forward to with future sessions with him.
Yay!
But he kind of like just, you know, seemingly more concerned with you being alright at this point, just goes,
Alright, fine, but promise me this. If it's ever a, you know, DA rather than an NDA kind of situation, that you'll tell me that time, right?
I promise.
There's been a lot of weird shit going on recently, especially in Section C. That being said, we did kind of give the Foundling Creed what's for recently.
Whilst I'm not one for stat politics, like what?
You see for a second a lighting within him is the gossip that you are so used to with him, just barely equally suppressed by, you know, his concern. But he kind of goes, right, so, yeah, you remember, God, what was it, last week I was telling you about everything that was going on with that idiot who'd taken over one of the apartment buildings. He'd been absolutely gunning people down, and the Foundling Creed decided to take it upon themselves to push into our borders. Well, we managed to sort that out. I say we. My colleagues did. I didn't really have much to offer other than money, which I'm always happy to. And he kind of like shrugs very smugly and, you know, in that way of like, yeah, I'm a big deal, you know, very arrogant.
Yeah, she's used to it.
But let me bring you onto the Week 3 map. So, what he was talking about specifically, I'll draw your attention to over here. You'll notice that there has been a huge change in territory. So, the previous week, Foundling Creed had managed to push into a section of Section C territory, which was near neutral, which was near the neutral zone's borders, and that was by virtue of an individual who was holed up there with a lot of ammunition and a lot of guns. However, you don't know why, But recently, there was something, some kind of job that took place there that made that position a little harder to maintain. And Section C, I'm just gonna plainly say this out loud because I was blown away by it. Whenever these weeks turn over, I have like mechanics that I take care of in the background in order to determine what events show up and what borders have exchanged. Brother, Section C rolled a 9. Section C rolled an 11 because they had a bonus, and Foundling Creed rolled a 1. There was a total difference of 10 hexes exchanged, which is crazy. He also mentions that in the south over here, that the Foundling Creed managed to take back a little bit of the territory that Section C managed to grab from them in the little outcropping of neighborhoods that has been continually kind of back and forth between them for some time now. Section C have been desperately trying to close off that area in order to take back that massive section down south, that little like peninsula of territory, and similarly, collectors have been trying to stop it from being reclaimed, and they have once again successfully escaped the clutches of such a close and devastating loss that could have happened there. But more importantly, he kind of goes, you know, that's all typical gang stuff, you know, all of that kind of thing. The thing that's been getting me on edge, though, is people keep showing up with their hearts removed.
She swallows in a way that has not fully gotten over the previous day's events. I see.
Yeah, no, it's been weird, and we don't know who's doing it, is the big thing. And I'm not particular to that kind of a thing going on, especially when I have a market for organs. People are getting antsy about getting enhanced organs if they're just gonna get snatched, you know?
Oh, of course. At least you don't have anything to worry about. Your heart's too big for something like that, right?
He kind of smiles flirtatiously back at you, and just goes, I would love to pay for a session right now, but I don't think that's appropriate. I'd rather you rest and recover and make sure that everything's okay.
Oh, I would deny a session, truth be told.
I would only hope so. Yeah, no, he's absolutely lying through his teeth with that. But he kind of goes, right, well, Dr. Morris, is there anything weird or whatever that we have to worry about, that we have to be careful of? Yeah, Amaris, like, pulls back his tail from your arm, which has just been doing a bunch of, like, diagnostics on your health, essentially. And you see that they, kind of, like, look at this little flip-out, this tiny little CRT screen that flips out from it. You imagine that in and of itself was a pretty pricey little upgrade, and you just see, like, this very blurry, like, statistics readout just, like, flip through it, and just goes, No, it seems everything's in order. Nothing strange in regards to white blood cell count, nothing strange in regards to salt balances. Well, aside from the physical trauma and everything that would come alongside of that, you are in perfect physical health.
Yippee!
Rot, kind of, like, clatters over with the crimson insectoid, legs. Face still shaded. You can barely tell, as they lean into, like, the lights of the, like, medical spotlights that have been, like, put on you, that the part of the reason that they are so effectively shaded by their cloak is that you see the barest hint of what is very clearly, modified skin to be as, like, least light reflective as possible. You get the barest implication of, like, black teeth, but only because of the shine that, like, reflects off of them. As he goes, how do you feel?
Basically fine. I may need to, take another day off or two, but then I'll be right as rain, I assure ya.
They kind of like nod and confer and start to like pack things up. Can you give me, real quick, actually? Earlier you did technically tell a lie. I would like you to please make that roll with a +3.
Oh, I got away with it.
Oh, easy. Yeah, that +3 is, you know, representing the fact that Rado is completely, like, enamored with you and just trusts you completely and implicitly and was just fully, like, you know, enraptured by, you know, he just has no reason to distrust you, right? And even if that didn't have the +3, which would be the case with both Dr. Amaris and Rot, you know what? I'm gonna give them a roll, but this is gonna be, they literally have to get one of them has to get a 10 in order to tell that you were lying. Nope. Neither of them get it. Rado kind of like lingers for a second as they start to like take everything outside. And he kind of like leans into you a little and just goes like, "You're sure you can't tell me? I'll make an example of them. They'll be across the entire city."
I promise you. Don't worry about it. I can explain more later if you really need the full story, okay? Something to look forward to.
He smiles, once again getting that, like, creepy kind of vibe to him, as he kind of goes, "All right. Well, you let me know as soon as you're healed up, okay?"
Okay, will do, genuinely.
And he, like, yeah, I think, you know what? He would normally be a bit, like, forward in a number of ways, but, like, he is very concerned about keeping things, you know, like, 100 with you, and so resists the urge to do anything cheeky, and thus keeps his hands to himself and leaves.
Thanks for your assistance, sweethearts, all of you. If you, want services of any kind, I doubt that I need to tell you you're welcome.
You see Dr. Amaris kind of, like, turn around and just go, like, "Oh, I'm aware of the services that you and your establishment are offering, and I have certainly made myself present in them in the past, but I appreciate it." That, on the other hand, and points to Rot, who does not take offense at that. It just is, legitimately that in pronouns. Just goes, "I have no interest in such things, but it is appreciated." And Rot nods its head, and clatters out alongside the rest of them.
Well, thank goodness those guys aren't going to be a problem in the future.